It's a pretty close competition between Spyro 2 and 3 for which is my favorite game in the original trilogy. However, Spyro 3 for me just slightly wins that competition. Sure, the game didn't really add anything new to the basic concept of the gameplay, but it did add some new playable characters. Yeah, a few of the characters aren't very great, but they're not too forced and many of the levels can be completed without them. But the thing that stands out the most for me is the levels in the game, as many of them I find to be pretty memorable. Plus, yeah, I have some nostalgia for the game. Let's start off my list of my top 10 favorite Spyro 3 levels. Remember, this is my opinion, no flight stages, and no hub worlds. Let's start things off with Charmed Ridge. The level reminds me a lot of Alpine Ridge from the original game. Both levels have a sunset-like color to them, and both involve moving platforms that are moved by wizards. It's a level that requires you to time your jumps well, and to use your gliding properly as well. It's a fun level to explore, even if it can get frustrating. While the missions are rather polar. Personally, I don't mind the mission where you have to plant some mushrooms and flowers to make your way up a tower. It's the mission where you have to play a Sergeant Bird that bugs me. In this mission, you have to kill cat witches as things get progressively more difficult, where eventually the floor is replaced with deadly water, and Sergeant Bird's awkward controls sure don't help. Christel Islands is another level that reminds me of levels from the original game, but this one is much better. For one, there's a really cool atmosphere to it with a dark night background and the glowing crystals. It's full of individual floating islands that Spyro must glide to in order to get through the level. You can even find a super glide power that lets you fly around the level and further explore it, which is awesome. The large slide is a fun concept and it isn't too difficult, which makes it even more enjoyable. Although, if you're trying to get all the gems, you'll probably have to go down the slide a few more times. The biggest problem I have with this level is Bentley's mission, where he has such a short amount of time to whack a certain amount of moles. Not only does the time limit suck, but gnomes will also appear from holes for some dumb reason. But again, the theme of the level is pretty great, and it's very entertaining to fly around the islands. Of all the levels that focus around one of the new 5 playable characters, Sheela is by far my favorite, and her level is the only one of those on this list. It's a fun, short level that takes place in a mountaintop, which despite how super small the level is, I really like its setting. There's very little exploring to do, but the focus on Sheela using her super jumps and ground pound attacks really make this an enjoyable place. The goat villagers are quite likable, and it feels a little rewarding to help them take back their homes. It might not be a very big level, but it's one that I enjoy. In a strange way, Bamboo Terrace reminds me a little of Crystal Glacier, because the pandas in this level act like the cavemen did in that one. Yes, in order to progress through the level, you will have to help out some pandas who will in turn open doors for you. I really enjoy how the level looks with the Japanese-like temples and the mountainous background. The use of red and green also helps, and I like the waterfall. As for the missions, well, Bentley's is okay, as he makes his way up a small temple while dodging boulders. The problem is that Bentley is really slow. Then there's the mission where you have to keep the pandas protected on an on-rail shooting section. And it's alright, but some of the enemies you have to shoot are placed in weird locations. Plus, I personally like this level much more than Fireworks Factory. Now, no, there are no ghosts in the haunted tomb, but there are mummies. Personally, I really like levels that are based off of tombs in ancient ruins, and this level fits the bill. Here, you have to navigate your way through a tomb fighting off mummies, annoying rock monsters, and even jackals. The setting is really cool as I like the temple-like areas with the hieroglyphs on them, the dogs who have riddles for you to solve, and the awesome looking cobra slide that's kinda hard to stay on. The missions on the other hand are okay, like the one where you play as Agent 9 who has to take out all the enemies in a cave-like section. What helps with that mission is that thankfully your bullets bounce off walls, allowing you to shoot without aiming and you can still take out enemies. However, it's those fucking tank battle missions that I hate. The controls aren't too bad, but if you want to survive then you have to lure out the enemies one at a time, which becomes tedious. Aside from that though, I still find it an enjoyable tomb level. Klout Spires is by far my favorite sky level in the series. It has a very charming cloud and Olympus-like theme to it. Enemies are dressed like soldiers, with some having lightning bolt swords, and some who can blow wind at Spyro. Turning on machines to get things running and gliding to the tops of the temples are things I find to be very memorable. The missions are fun too, like helping a cloud by gliding around to take out some dark spirits so that some chimes can help make the cloud grow. You can also help make a sun by guiding some sun seeds to a pot, which is somewhat of a challenge but nothing unfair. And I can't help but to be amused by the sun wearing some sunglasses. It's a great level that really makes you feel like you're in a temple in the sky. Yeah, ice levels. Okay, to be fair, there is another ice level in the game, but this one I like more. Icy Peak basically takes place in a snowy mountain peaks, like the name says, where you have to help out a polar bear by reactivating a gondola. What's great about this place is you really feel like you're progressing up a snowy mountain, as the mountain itself has a very nice dark blue color to it with some gentle white snow on top. Unfortunately, there is also ice and ice physics, as well as some explosive boxes that some of the enemies will use to come at you with. Not only that, but there's also an annoying area of ice that you have to break, which is easier said than done if you plan on getting all the gems. But using the cannons to break ice blocks and taking out the vultures isn't bad. Plus, there are some great areas to glide to. There is also a speed track section that's laid out pretty well, and taking out the bandits isn't too hard. The worst mission here, however, is protecting Nancy as she skates around while enemies try to take her out. While that mission really sucks, I still enjoy the snowy level. Seashell Shore is one of those levels that I can remember from my childhood. It's divided up between some underwater sections and some land sections. The underwater sections are quite cool, as some of them have some coral to swim around, as well as some underwater buildings, and it really makes you feel like you're in the ocean. The land sections are fun too, as there's usually a nice focus on gliding. I really like the beach feel, and the only enemy that annoys me are the ones that hide in the seashells. I also like that you get to play as Sheela for a mission in which you have to destroy a sandcastle, and it's fun. There's also a mission in which Spyro rides a boat that is used to take out a submarine shark boss, and it's great as well, and it's something that I also remember very fondly. The only mission I don't like is the one where you have to take out all the enemies in a pipe, which has some awkward placements of the enemies. Beyond that though, I really love this level. The seals are great citizens, and I really love swimming around the coral. Of all the levels in the game, Spooky Swamp is one that instantly comes to my mind, and it's quite nostalgic for me. I love the nighttime atmosphere with the dark cloudy sky and lots of emphasis on the color purple. Lighting up the lantern huts creates a really nice glow and complements the thick trees and constant rain. Not only that, there's also dark purple water that is full of piranhas. Then there are the citizens, who are apparently fireflies. Don't get me wrong, I really like their design, they just don't look like fireflies to me. What's interesting about them is that they all talk in a haiku for some reason. Of the missions, I personally don't really like the Bomb Twins mission, where you have to use Sheela to clear out a path for the fireflies as they carry some bombs. It's not hard, it's just kinda dull and time consuming, especially if you make a mistake. There's also a boss fight against a sleepy Rhinoc who's an okay fight, but nothing too challenging or that special. Despite that, I really like the theme of this level. It's also got some great color to it, fun citizens, and having the piranhas chase you when you enter the water are all nice touches. Desert Ruins is awesome. In this level, you have to help a kangaroo rat find his girlfriend by exploring the ruins, which consist of acid water, dangerous scorpions, and flaming floors and walls. This level requires some well-timed jumps, glides, charges, and fire blowing. While the layout is pretty linear, it's set up to feel like an adventure, and one that reasonably challenges your skills. Despite its layout, there's still plenty to explore and requires some skilled jumps and glides. It's also really entertaining to explore the old temple ruins and climb around on broken statues. Not only that, but it turns out that the level is a bit of a reference to Tomb Raider, which is also awesome. And speaking of references, there's also a Crash reference, with Sheela's mission taking place in a 2D platforming section that's actually really fun and works surprisingly well. But wait, there's still more. There's also a section that takes place underwater that revolves around an ancient sunken temple. Here you can do a mission where you ride a manta ray and use it to take out some enemy robot sharks. parks, and it's pretty entertaining and it's a place that I really like. Desert Ruins is full of variety and it all works very well. Not only is it my favorite level in Spyro 3, but to me it's one of the most well-designed levels in the entire series. Well, I hope you enjoyed this list, and be sure to share your favorite levels in the comment sections down below. I will see you guys next time with the last countdown, which will be on the flying stages.